These Pharisees didn't understand. They were devoid of understanding. Just like this nation is devoid of understanding truth. If the truth doesn't line up with their narrative, they don't care anything about it. And listen, and a bunch of these people are they call themselves Bible-believing church members. Many of them even call themselves ministers and call themselves pastors and leaders. And some of them wouldn't know the truth if they walked up wearing a red cap and slapped them inside the face. They wouldn't know the truth. Don't care to hear the truth. Hallelujah. And again, let me reiterate, I am not in no way promoting Trump. I'm not a Trumpster, so to speak. But I do believe supporting someone when they're doing right. And call them when they are wrong. And believe me, he's done plenty of wrong to be called on. Amen. But the Pharisees were concerned here about the Sabbath. What they were not concerned about was showing love to a man who needed to be shown mercy. Like we talked about before. It's more important in God's eyes. It's more important to show mercy than sacrifice, than religious rituals, and all these things. And these Pharisees were concerned with all their rituals and their Sabbath keeping, all this kind. They were more concerned with that than were about a man who was handicapped, a man who was crippled, a man who had a withered hand, who needed help. And so Jesus wants mercy, not sacrifice. Jot these down. You one time turn to them. By the time you turn to them, I'll have read them and gone on. Jot this down. Hosea chapter 6, verse 6. Hosea, H-O-S-E-A, Hosea chapter 6, verse 6. For I desire mercy, this is God speaking, and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of God more than burnt offerings. That's in Hosea. God says, I desire mercy and not sacrifice. Listen, we all know there's sacrifices that come along with the Christian life. We know that. We understand that. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. That's sacrifice. Paul said, I pray, I beseech you to present your bodies. In Romans chapter 12, he said, I beseech you to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Lord, which is your reasonable service or worship. So we do know there's sacrifice involved. I understand that. But sacrifice can never take the place of showing mercy, showing love, showing compassion. It can never take the place of doing what's right by someone. Hallelujah. So God says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Micah chapter 6. Micah, M-I-C-A-H, Micah chapter 6. Beginning verse 6, he says, with what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before the high God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Verse 7, will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? And he's asking these questions. He has shown you, O man, what is good. And it's somewhat of a rhetorical question. And Hosea says, God has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God? Listen, if we are presenting ourselves before God, as Paul said, a living sacrifice, then this is how we're supposed to be walking. This will be the evidence of that. This will be the fruit of that. Do justly. We're in a nation now where justice seems very, very, again, that word scarce comes to mind. Where justice, where is the justice when a man who's come to this country illegally 5 times, 5 times he comes here illegally. He goes to a sanctuary city, which is also literally and legally illegal. It's illegal. He comes 5 times, he gets deported, he comes back, and then in cold blood, he guns down a young lady, 17, 18 years old, maybe in her 20s, young lady, in the prime of her life, guns her down in cold blood, and a jury finds him not guilty. He gave the police, he was on drugs and stuff like that, he gave the police several different stories. He said he stepped on the gun and it fired, it went off. Then he said He accidentally fired a gun 3 times. How do you accidentally fire a gun 3 times? And then he came up with all kind of other stuff. He was shooting at some seals. That's probably illegal anyway. He said he was shooting at some seals there off the pier where this took place. Bunch of hogwash. And yet the jury finds him not guilty. They turn him loose. That's not justice, folks. That is not justice.